Hey guys, Zane here with another One Take review, and today I wanted to talk about the new Jockstrap album, I Love You, Jennifer B. I Love You, Jennifer B is the first full-length studio album from English experimental pop duo Jockstrap. After building up more than enough hype for themselves with the overall very strong 2020 EP, Wicked City, a lot of people were having their eyes glued to Jockstrap to see what they would do next, and while I Love You, Jennifer B isn't necessarily the pinnacle of artistic creation, it's still something that manages to live up to the vast majority, if not all of the hype. I Love You, Jennifer B could definitely be argued to be Jockstrap's most outright experimental effort to date, and I think that's fairly reasonable overall. To be totally honest, it seems like Georgia Ellery and Taylor Sky really just saved a lot of their most out there moments specifically for this project, holding off slightly on their previous EPs. I can't blame them though. This is hopefully going to be their breakout LP, their breakout album, the record that really gets them recognized by critics and the general mainstream alike, at least to some extent. So I really do understand why you want to push this experimental envelope on this record in particular, especially compared to previous releases. From the subtly funky sampling of greatest hits to the psychedelic nature of Lancaster Quartz, it just kind of seems like Jockstrap do their absolute darndest to experiment with as many alternative sounds as possible within I Love You, Jennifer B's 44-minute time frame. Layers upon layers of synths, synthetic strings, digital drum beats, and orchestral influences, which can definitely be credited to Ellery's time as a violinist slash vocalist in Windmill Scene favorites Black Country New Road, which that's a gig that she still maintains to this very day. In fact, she's primed to be one of the new lead vocalists after the departure of Isaac Wood. But I'm getting off track. My point is, all of these different sounds combine to make something that is sonically unique to Jockstrap, and something that obviously took a huge amount of passion, time, and effort to throw together. While this may imply that this record sounds like a bit of a mishmash of a lot of different genres and sounds, it really isn't, as these styles and sounds just pile on top of each other until they make for something that is genuinely extraordinary in terms of listening experience. I could listen to this album 100 times over and still find something new in the background of one particular song to just analyze and dissect overall. Although their willingness to push the envelope for a number of genres and subgenres is arguably the most admirable thing about I Love You, Jennifer B, it's Jockstrap's willingness to maintain their roots in normalcy that allows this record to succeed. This is what keeps them grounded and accessible for even non-major experimental music fans. It's not like you can walk up to somebody casually and recommend them an album like Trout Mask Replica or anything like that, but if you wanted to recommend someone a starting place for mildly experimental, accessible pop music, this would be a good album for it. While they might not hit in exactly the same way for fans of the duo's more left-field tendencies, tracks like Angst and What's It All About, ignoring the former's sort of glitchy outro, are both love letters to singer-songwriter and folk types of music. Straight up branded electronic sounds are definitely something that is violently apparent on I Love You, Jennifer B as well, with cuts like the utterly astounding Deborah and the album opening strong track Neon, both heavily demonstrating how straightforward Jockstrap can be with some of their influences and some of the sounds and artists that you can trace them back to. While there's no denying that these more straightforward moments aren't exactly what allows a record like I Love You, Jennifer B to appeal to major music geeks like myself who kind of go out of their way to look for something kind of oddball at times, the experimentation that is done here would not be permitted to succeed without a grounded sense of normalcy. There may be some weird stuff done here, but there's also a solid backbone of confident and casual normalness, and that's pretty much necessary for things to work. By the end of the record and the experience that I Love You, Jennifer B promises, the listener feels utterly exhausted, and I mean that in the best way possible. This is because of the fact that Jockstrap as a duo feel extremely oxymoronic. They really take the time on I Love You, Jennifer B to create something that's abstract but unforgettable, dissonant but accessible, and although I Love You, Jennifer B is without a doubt an experimental pop project at heart, there is still a sense that it never really goes off into the realm of uncertainty or weirdness or anything like that in particular. It is very confident in what it wants to do, and because of that, it becomes a very distinct piece of art. The mission statement of each individual song is usually fairly clear from the start, whether it be intense breakbeats or it's chamber-esque folk pop. With all of that in mind, there's still a cold mysticism about Jockstrap's sound and delivery of all of these different influences and genres and subgenres that allows them to create their own unique universe that pertains specifically to their own brand of sonic aesthetics. So overall, I Love You Jennifer B is much more than just your average pop album that happens to have some quirky tendencies here or there. In fact, it's actually one of the best experimental albums out there within the past few months. I'm going to give this record 4.5 stars out of 5. My one take on this record is that this is Jockstrap living up to their greatest, most unique potential after the strong throwing that was Wicked City. So again, 4.5 stars out of 5, and with that being said, that's the end of this review, and I'll see you guys in the next one.